I think that it is incumbent upon us to give our opinion and to give, if in fact we are favoring someone, it's incumbent upon us to discuss it and open it up to the audience. Again, that phone number?
Yeah.
734-822-1600. Yeah. Call in, join the conversation, because that's what this is all about.
Yes. I mean, this is your mic, basically. That's one of the reasons why I think that it's appropriate, to basically let the people do the talking and decide.
We have to.
Because here's the thing. There are some things that are going to be. I'm going to try to play this clip here before the break. Okay, and it's a fairly long clip, but.
And what is this concerning?
It's concerning the healthcare situation, and it shows our guest this morning, shows him questioning this.
Congressman Bentivolio is questioning, Jonathan Gruber. Okay, yeah.
And it shows you that somebody at least asked some questions, and in a tough manner, not just allow somebody to get up there and filibuster.
Yeah.
But it shows you that there's going to be retribution if you bring out the truth. So,
look what happens to the people who bring out the truth.
Derek, is that ready? Okay, would you start that for me?
Gentleman from Michigan. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Gruber, PhD from MIT, correct?
No, my PhD is from Harvard University.
Okay, Harvard, another prestigious
Harvard
school
one
as well. And you teach at MIT.
Yes, I do.
Very prestigious school. Myself, I graduated from a small college. My dad was a factory worker. I had to work my way through college. But I understand it's very prestigious, and congratulations. But I want to go back. Earlier, there was some people on the, you as well as members of Congress, stating that this was very transparent, this bill. And yet, from the very beginning, if I remember correctly, a lady got up in front of the floor of Congress and she said, you got to pass it before you can see what's in it. Do you remember who that was?
I believe that's a quote attributed to Nancy Pelosi.
Correct. Thank you. And yet it was 2,700 pages, the original act, and if you read that 2,700 pages, you're going to see a lot that says to be determined in that bill. So the bill wasn't really complete. So how can you have a bill, pass a bill, before you can see what's in it, and call that transparent? Because I didn't get to see it, I wasn't here, but other members of Congress really couldn't see that. And then we find out now that, we were told that you can keep your insurance and you like it, and we know that's a lie. You can keep your doctor, and we know that's a lie. And you can keep your hospital, and that's a lie. Lies on top of lies. And it's not really about health care either. It's a tax. The premiums will be lower, and yet they're higher. Another lie. So let's backtrack. You apologized today for some comments you made in the video, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it says several times here you said you apologize for insulting others to make yourself look smarter or better than others. Or that's paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what you said. Is that correct? Yes. You want to repeat what you actually said? Go ahead.
No, what you said is a good paraphrase.
Pretty good. So let's be clear. You did not apologize for helping the administration deceive the American people on this Health Care Act, or for telling America the truth in your video comments about how it was a fraud upon the American people. Is that correct, sir?
I think the Affordable Care Act was passed in a highly transparent fashion with hundreds of hours of debate.
But every single thing they promised was a lie. How can you call that transparent? You didn't say what we're about to do for you is not going to really do you any good. You're not going to keep your doctor. You're not going to keep your hospital. Your premiums are going to go up. Why didn't you say that? You were the architect, one of the architects. You created the model. Is that model flawed?
I did economic microsimulation modeling that I believe is
simulation. So you actually created a model to justify their conclusions. Seems about what you did. I mean, you're a lot smarter than I did. Now, here's an opportunity for you to come clean. Lies on top of lies. This is what you have done. You have been a co-conspirator in defrauding the American people, and you admitted it in 2 videos that I saw on TV, and I saw some here today. In helping this administration deceive our citizens, you received grants and contracts from the government, for either the federal government or the states. Was it closer to $2.5 million or $2.8 million you received over the course of implementing this Obamacare?
I don't recall the exact figure.
You're an economist. You know the quotes you said in the book you wrote. You know how to balance a checkbook. You know how to read a balance sheet. Was it 2.5 or 2.8 million or more? Plus or minus $100,000.
Once again, I don't recall the exact amount.
Now you know what? It's about lies, half-truths, and distortions. Why are you continuing to help this administration deceive the American public? With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Well, if I could, that should be an indictment to this whole administration.
That also should be a model for good legislator behavior.
That's exactly correct. I mean, he brought the information out. What did the media do? They did not put this on. I saw this nowhere.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. But you can imagine if that would have been George Bush, and there was somebody in his administration that was tagged as being taking money that possibly could be a bribe almost.
It's almost shocking.
I mean, but this whole healthcare thing was about bribes anyhow. And the same thing has to be said about this new legislation that just passed, because this visa waiver program is done by a private concern. Now, I don't trust the UN. I don't like the UN at all, because what that particular part where they wanted to put the UN in charge of our southern border and in the northern border too.
Well, actually, the House passed a bill called HB 158 on December 8th, and that was the initial overhaul of the visa waiver program. Yes. Now, in looking on the internet for what happened to that bill in terms of did it go to the Senate, it was HB 158.
I think that's the one that that they rolled into.
That's what I'm assuming, because it didn't seem to go anywhere after that. I may not have looked deep enough, because, you know, they make it very difficult to try to follow legislation to begin with. But the last paragraph of HB 158, if I can take a moment to read this, it's amazing. It's called the Sense of Congress. It is the sense of Congress that the International Civil Aviation Organization, the specialized agency of the United Nations responsible for establishing international standards related to the administration and governance of border controls. It identifies the United Nations as being in charge of border controls. And should establish standards for the introduction of electronic passports. And now the United Nations should establish standards for the introduction of electronic passports and obligate member countries to utilize such e-passports as soon as possible. It says such e-passports should be a combined paper and electronic passport that contains biographic and biometric information that can be used to authenticate the identity of travelers through an embedded chip. Now, I wonder, David Trott voted in favor of this bill, and I would like to ask him, where is this embedded chip? Is the chip embedded in the e-passport? And then how does that identify a traveler? Or is the embedded chip embedded into the traveler? Because it would seem to me that that's the only way that you can connect a magnetic document to a person. I don't understand it.
Well, let's see if one of our callers might be able to identify it. I want to get Glenn on before the break. Good morning, Glenn.
Bruce. Oh, this is Bruce.
Bruce?
Oh, hi, Bruce.
Hey, how you doing? Well, look, I will maintain my place in line. That's not what I wanted to talk about. But if you want to get Glenn on before me, that'll be fine, and I'll be happy to hold.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
What is the topic of your conversation, Bruce?
I just wanted to talk real briefly about this budget deal that went through, this $1.1 trillion boondoggle increase in spending that not only ourselves but our descendants are going to have to pay off. Paul Ryan ought to be ashamed of himself, standing up there, saying how, and he got a call from Obama, I understand, saying thanks for making government work.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
And, of course, the media says, well, this was dumped on him.
Yeah.
This was dumped on. If it was dumped on him and he was to oppose it, he should have just voted no.
Yeah.
You know what they could have done, because what they did, this thing is over 2,000 pages,
right.
guys.
Yes.
Over 2,000 pages, and they had, 48 hours to look at it?
Yeah.
Now, come on. Even somebody who's taken the Evelyn Wood speed reading course wouldn't be able to go through something like that in 2 days.
Well, that's why I wanted to put that on there and let you understand. There's money being exchanged here.
Yeah.
On these bills that they crowd in there and throw on us, and nobody scrutinizes them, and nobody holds anybody responsible for the disaster that it causes.
Right, and the thing is, okay, what we could have done if this is like a 2-day situation where you only get a chance to look at it, really skim over it really briefly, then why didn't you just pass another continuing resolution for a couple of weeks while our congressmen and senators have a chance to get their brains around this thing?
We have a Republican majority. Why don't they force the return to the appropriation bills that identify certain aspects of the government and fund only that? Why do we have to have this omnibus anything?
Yeah, exactly. And this is a huge problem. When did these 1,000-page these mega bills start weeding their way into the system? Was it back with HR 3200, back the first attempt at Obamacare, or when was this, Janice? Do you have an idea about that?
I can tell you when they stopped doing the budget. That's when they started.
Yes,
right.
And you notice that we have. When was the last time we haven't did a budget in 8 years?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
This administration has been a problem.
We're going to have to go to a break here, Bruce. Hold on a minute, and folks, we're going to have to take a few messages,